I'm going to talk a little bit about our hybrid cloud service. So allow you to have an on-premise data center, and then if you need to build it out or augment it or move stuff into the cloud, we do have a hybrid cloud service. And I'm specifically going to talk about disaster recovery service that's associated with that hybrid cloud. I heard you guys had a little bit of rain a few weeks ago or something. I don't think it was that big a deal, but it didn't rain that much in Tampa. So, but anyway, so we're going to talk a little bit about that disaster recovery. Here we go. So we're going to talk about what hybrid cloud service is, the disaster recovery piece of hybrid cloud. Look at the architecture. I probably won't look at setup and configuration because you guys probably aren't interested in that. Some considerations. All right. So first of all, a hybrid cloud service is infrastructure as a service. It is operated by VMware. We did go for FedRAMP certification for our government hybrid cloud, but it's built on our vSphere trusted environment. It supports existing workloads. You can move existing workloads into the hybrid cloud or put your new workloads in there as well. But you're using the same tools that you would use to manage your day-to-day on-premise data center. It's not something different. Once it goes to the cloud, it's not like it's some weird place where it can never leave or whatever. It's the same management tools that you use with your today. So this is your data center. You're actually a private cloud for your customers that are using you. So if you have your infrastructure set up where you model and simulate stuff, and then you're users of it. So you're actually your own private cloud. And then the hybrid service, you'll use your same common management between the two, and it's one support call between them as well. So this gives you the flexibility that vSphere gives you, which is any OS, any applications. You're able to migrate workloads between the cloud and the hybrid cloud. And that once they go in there, they're able to come back out again. There's some cloud providers that once they go in, they're kind of stuck in there. But it is built for HA to support your applications. So we do run the largest number of guest operating systems, 32-bit and 64 editions. But once again, our hybrid service is built on our vSphere platform. So the most trusted virtualization platform. The guy right here that I need to tell that to has left us. So you have seamlessly networking between them as well, and the same security policies that are on your data center on-premise also apply to the hybrid cloud. It's just another remote site for your data center. So typically the clouds are incompatible. You have special tools that you need to administer it, separate resources devoted to that. That's not the case with our VMware hybrid cloud service. Here's some service offerings that we have. You have the ability to do a dedicated cloud off-premise, and here's some of the base resources that you get. And also we have the ability to isolate you, so you have an isolated virtual private cloud off-premise. And those are some of the requirements that those minimums start at. Is anybody using any other cloud services? Like Amazon Web Services, that type of stuff? No?
How many people have a Gmail account?
I've studied Google, yeah, Gmail.
Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. It's all cloud.
Well, I mean, if you're going to bring, can I distract you?
Yeah, sure.
If you're going to bring up Google's platform, I mean, that's obviously a good example of cloud services, but the cost is, well, the cost is invisible, right? They mine everything I do and make money on it.
Yeah, you're still paying for it.
Now, suppose I write a SOUT, and this is, I don't do this, okay? I'm not trying to change anybody's terms of service here, but suppose I write a SOUT, and I ask my cloud provider to be totally responsible for the security. What's the cost delta for doing that?
Well, with VMware, there isn't. It's inherent on the federal side. It's already taken care of.
It's already federal.
I mean, every SOW we write with you guys already has that clause.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, it's already. the cloud is in a secure data center that's certified by the federal government.
Yep.
So it's not like Google, right? Which could be sitting on a ship offshore somewhere.
There's no telling where it is.
Right, exactly. You don't know where it is, right?
Yeah.
There's 2 federal data centers that VMware owns that is fed. I think
it's going for FedRAMP.
It's going for FedRAMP. It's probably
yep.
It's probably wavered right now, but
yep.
I mean it's.
Dulles Airport is one of them,
right.
Near Dulles.
And there's one,
Texas, I think.
Yeah, and there's one in Austin. Yeah. So the interesting thing about it is this: you got a company like Amazon, right? And they have a cloud service, AWS, and Amazon Web Services. And a lot of times, what people will do is they will take their VMware virtual environment, and Amazon will say, "Bring your environment over to us and run it in the cloud." And you can do that. You can take your VMUK files out of VMware and all your stuff, and then convert it and put it out into the Amazon Cloud Service. Okay. Now here's the rub about that. As you do that, and it's up and running, and I'm sure Amazon's taking care of everything, and all that's really well and good. But if you ever want it back, this is the problem. You have to shut down all your stuff, and then you have to convert it back into your own format, and then run it on your data center. So in order to do that, you're turning off your servers, right? They never tell you anything like that. It's kind of like that little gotcha kind of thing. So VMware took that type of scenario and said, no, this isn't right, and we shouldn't do that for our customers. They've built this cloud model to virtualize pretty much everything. They've got this hybrid cloud service. So I've worked with a lot of companies to create kube sites. I spent a lot of time architecting kube sites, and it takes, there's a time frame to be able to restore. You've got asynchronous file transfer, you've got synchronous file transfer, you have all these different ways of doing it. And when you start looking a little bit more into this, it opens up a huge realm of possibility, especially for customers.
So here's where these are not the government one, these are our actual VCHS sites that are for public consumption. So we have different capabilities of our hybrid cloud. I talked earlier about desktop as a service. We also have the platform as a service. I'm going to concentrate though on recovery as a service. This is our VCHS DR.
Have you ever had one of those days when things were humming along and suddenly everything changed in the blink of an eye? When it comes to safeguarding your business's critical information, preparing for a bad day is the best insurance you can have. Chances are, though, the overall protection you need has seemed out of reach until now. Introducing VMware VCloud Hybrid Service Disaster Recovery, a comprehensive, affordable, and easy-to-use recovery-as-a-service offering from VMware. VCloud Hybrid Service Disaster Recovery provides the protection and resiliency your business needs. Let's be frank, many mid-market businesses are taking serious risks by operating without a solid DR solution in place. Some have a plan, but have been slow to implement it because of the expense and expertise involved with a traditional in-house DR solution or managed service. Other businesses have a limited DR plan in place, providing marginal coverage. In each of these cases, company operations are at risk in the case of a local disaster or disruptive event. By contrast, VCloud Hybrid Service Disaster Recovery enables operational consistency, providing a failover environment for dependable recovery of your critical applications and data. It is ideal for businesses with limited or no DR solution in place, and for businesses looking to replace a more expensive and complicated traditional offering. There's no new infrastructure, training, or IT resources required. You apply the same tools, skill sets, and management you use now with your on-site VMware environment. VCloud Hybrid Service Disaster Recovery provides a safe haven for your business's critical information. Pay for just what you need today. Easily scale for what you need tomorrow. If you can't afford to build a secondary site or are spending too much on the one you have, VCloud Hybrid Service Disaster Recovery is a simpler and less expensive alternative. It's also a good option if you have a traditional in-house DR solution but want improved functionality, including agile scaling and reliable support at a lower price point. It also lets you protect remote office sites without additional CapEx investments and with lower OpEx. If traditional DR solutions have been keeping your business from obtaining the safe haven it needs from unexpected disruptions or disasters, what are you waiting for? VMware's VCloud Hybrid Service Disaster Recovery. Simple, affordable protection for your applications and data.
About VCloud hybrid services disaster recovery. So typical disaster recovery planning today, it's built on the changing foundation. There's limitations to that, and it's unreliable over time. You have to have a huge run book on what needs to be done in case of a disaster and this and that. So there are managed DR services. There's companies out there who will do that for you. There's cloud-based backup and restore, and then we're going to look at the cloud-based DR, recovery as a service. So it's an asynchronous replication failover for vSphere, so it's what you're used to with vSphere. We can do a 15 to a 24-hour RPO, and it's available to be tested as well, so you could test your failover and recovery scenario. Imagine that, actually try to recover, right?
Yeah. How many people actually have tested their disaster recovery plan periodically, like every 6 months?
Oh, I'm sure it's fine. It's out there. It's good. Yeah. You practiced 2 weeks ago? Awesome.
Yeah, when we had the floods.
Yeah. So it gives you the ability, and then if you do fail over to the hybrid cloud, you do have 30 days time where you can recover back to your infrastructure. And if that time's up, we do have stuff in place to allow you to continue to run, as well as we can move you off to our hybrid cloud as well. Oh, it's cute. Sorry, it's moving your VMs over there. So we do have term lengths. So you can do a 1 month up to a 36-month subscription to do this. We do have add-ons as well if you need to, after the fact, add extra compute or add different failover tests. We give you so many failover tests a year. I think it's 1, but I'll have to check on that. But we give you extra if you want to do any add-on as well. It is hybrid aware, so it's integrated with VCHS. It's hardware independent, so it eliminates the need for a SAN or array-based replication for your DR. And it is simplified application protection. The entire system, including the OS and data, is stored as a virtual machine file. It is fully integrated with our vSphere web client, so it's consistent management between us. You're not having a new set of tools to manage that as. So it is not Site Recovery Manager, SRM. It is complementary to SRM. So I don't know, does anyone here use SRM today, which is Site Recovery Manager? It's complementary to that, so it's not going to replace that. There's just, there's a need for both. Here's the architecture. So you'll move your, I guess this is the high level view of it, but basically you have your corporation here, and you have a secure connection to your DR instance that's in the cloud. And you have assisted failback as well. Components of the architecture. This is what's existing, so you have this today. These are some of the pieces that need to be updated. New components. So it's basically what you have today, and you're adding some, just a few components to get this done. It does replication across from your primary data center to your hybrid cloud. You can pick which VMs you replicate as well. And you're able to scale it out as well. So you go from 500 VMs up to 1,500 VMs by having your different, setting up different DR sites. It does do encryption in flight, so it provides encryption between the endpoints of the VCloud hybrid service. The system requirements is vSphere 5.1 and above. Public connectivity between them, and then the DR subscription at the other end. So it's nothing special that you're needed besides what you use today. I mean, here's your vSphere components, your vCenter server, and then the replication appliance. So I'm not sure if you want me to go into the setting it up, but we'll look through these quickly. Here's your addition of the cloud up there, a little cute little cloud that tells you that you're actually enabled. There's a recovery network and a test network, so allow you to test your configuration. So if you see here, you can replicate to your vCenter server, and you added this button to replicate to the cloud provider. And that's the difference. It's the same tool set that you use. You can monitor the replication, configure it, pause it, stop it, fail it over, test it. Did I go too fast?
Now remember, this is all within the same console that you currently use.
Yep. We're just adding the buttons that tell you you're going to the cloud.
How would a failover work? I'm just curious. So
It's a manual. It's not going to be an automatic failover. You're going to have some manual interventions. You're going to set up your policy and what you're going to do the failover. Yep.
And it'll handle all the reverse arcs and change the IP addresses.
Right.
Okay. Or change server.
Right. And you'll have to have your what is in play to go back as well. You'll have to have that set up. What you're going to do to fail back. Here's just a view of some. Let's go. So there are some automation options. There are tools for automation. So our VCloud Suite, our VCloud Automation Center, and VCloud Orchestrator are available to help you with the automation components of it. But that's something you'll set up. You'll set up those automation workflows. So basic automation is for failover and test, but not for failback. All right, any questions? Chris, did you have anything to add?
So, like what I was saying before, if you notice, the neat thing about this particular tool set is most times you have to have SAN, right? SAN connectivity, like if you're running an EMC, you have to have business continuity volumes running like SRDF, A, or just, like a protocol running between the two. You gotta have a perfect WAN link, you gotta have all of these different things in play. I mean, when you're talking EMC, you're looking at millions of dollars, pretty much. Okay. When you're looking at other SANs as well, there's a lot of money involved, and you're looking at disaster recovery. You're not going to be using it all the time. So most of the COOP sites that I go to are identical images of a data center. Okay, so why buy one when you can have two at twice the price? And so they buy everything, and then they put it over in, Millington or San Diego, and it's this entire thing, and no disaster ever takes place. And it's on a 3-year refresh cycle. Your budget is sitting there. You're never, they try to test the failover, but everyone is very risk averse to that because it's a production type system. And so you spend millions and millions of dollars for a disaster recovery site that you really never use, right? And not only that, but you have to manage all of that too. You got to deal with all the assets. You got to deal with all the reporting of those assets, what they're being utilized for, justify it to the program management office for the spending that you've done. You take something like this, which gives you a minimal amount of space to be able to say, well, what are my absolutes? What do I positively cannot live without? I can't live without my databases, or I can't live without my Exchange server, or I can't live without whatever types of storage that you have. And then you go, and then that's where you lay out your DR site. You size that properly to say, I want to be able to run at maybe 70% capability for 30 days while we figure out what to do with all of our stuff. And oh, by the way, you're paying it as a service. So you're not, if you want to try it for a month, you can do that. If you want to have it for a year, 3 years, if you're in a 3-year refresh cycle, once you have all that laid out, that's where your funding goes. And this is what I was telling you about before when you're talking about virtualization software, is there's a lot of planning that takes place. There's a lot of discussions and things like that, but that needs to happen. That needs to happen in any type of DR plan. Okay? So how many people that have ever been part of a DR plan actually have a desk exercise? Right? So we had a desk exercise one time for a natural gas company. And the desk exercise went really well, and all things considered, we had this one person was going to drive to the to the COOP site, and they were going to monitor everything that's going on while the coup was going on, because she was only about 12 miles away from that area. Well, a year or so went by, and after we constantly would upgrade it, it turns out the disaster took place. She got in her car, got about 6 miles down the road, and the car died on her. That was something that we'd never even had a clue to even come. It was not in our plan. What if your car dies, right? So there she is, side of the road. What do we do now? Call a taxi. And that's what we had to do. We called a shuttle to pick her up and take her to the cube site. But that wasn't anything within the land. So as this stuff comes in, as the stuff starts to take place, you're going to start dealing with skill sets, right? An integral part of your team winds up taking another job. What happens? Right? Now you go, oh crap, this guy who helped us develop the plan, now we got to learn all about how the SAN was configured, or how the backup software was configured, or how the servers were configured. How are we going to move this stuff over? So you got to take a look into that, and then you just realize, well, wait a minute, we're in a virtualized environment. We've got this service. All we do is we just drag and drop our critical servers based on our automation plan over to that, and then we're done. Not bad. Oh, and by the way, you can manage that anywhere, right? So if you're sitting in a bunker somewhere, or that has connectivity, or sitting on the side of a road with your 3G hotspot or whatever, you can get to your console and you can actually manage your entire infrastructure using the web client. And all your DR data is there and you're encrypted and you're working that way. So, or if you're on a classified network, you go to the nearest SCIF or the nearest open source classified place and log in and connect up to the federal data center. So it's a very compelling message for people that are involved in this kind of thing and have dealt with the government and the sheer level of rules and stipulations that you've got to adhere to. But that's one of the reasons why I felt it necessary. It's not if a hurricane comes into this area. It's not if a hurricane gets affected by Edwin or Hurley, right? It's when. Something's going to happen. And we're going to sit back, during that whole time going on and going, well, how come we don't have these processes?